Would you do me a favor and open the box?
Yep. Are we really baking if we don't hit a dab first? Nope, no we're not. Starting off strong with our first ingredient, cake flour, 240 grams to be exact. And it kind of went everywhere. Also adding in 300 grams of granulated sugar. This cocoa powder was obscenely expensive. This is roughly about 50 grams of cocoa powder. Adding in 85 grams of espresso powder, but the math was not mathing and I completely lost count. So whatever's in there is in there and we're just gonna hope for the best. I was kind of distracted, so I shouldn't have done this in my head.
Wait a minute, something ain't right.
Yeah, I'm not really good at math. I have no taste buds, therefore I need a quote-unquote pinch of salt. 2 large eggs. I'm cracking these on the countertop, so when they crack, the shells will go onto the countertop instead of the bowl. And clearly, it did not work. 280 ml of vegetable oil, 15 ml vanilla extract. We can go a little bit heavy on this. 240 ml of buttermilk. I forgot to mix in the baking powder and baking soda, so I'm doing that now. Mix everything together and a batter will emerge as a baby. Okay. I'm lining both cake pans with parchment paper rounds. Don't forget to lube up the pans with some baking spray, just in case for protection. Evenly spreading the batter between 2 cake pans. I barely had enough to make this work, but I'm trying my best. It's also a little bit too thick. Hit them a couple times, give them a good shake down before we put them into the oven, which is already preheated, and let it sit for 35 minutes. And once the timer goes off, we can take them out and put them on the countertop, test it with a cake tester to see if it's done. And it is. So let's grab a little cooling tray. I'm going to carefully plop these little baddies into their tray and give them a good old sniff. And yep, they pass off to the freezer. I'm getting started on the buttercream frosting now. I'm adding in 4 whole sticks of softened Kerrygold butter, putting that on low speed in my blender, and then slowly adding in 1 pound of powdered sugar. And it's kind of flying everywhere. Add in espresso powder very slowly. Maybe it needs a little more. A little splash of vanilla, heavy whipping cream, cocoa powder. Oh, it is flying everywhere. I'm scraping down the bowl. I'm just gonna let that go for a long time. Let's give it a little taste. Oh,
Wow.
that's good. Adding a little bit of honey to my cake turner so it becomes a little bit sticky so that the parchment will stick and not move around. I'm doing the same with icing on top of the parchment. This didn't work as I expected. I'm also adding that onto the cardboard cake round, but it didn't really stick to the cake as I was expecting it to. Good enough, I would say. And getting started on frosting the layers of buttercream on this cake. This is probably my favorite part and the most fun part because it can be as messy as you want until the very end. I am going to take my time and savor every minute of frosting this cake. It doesn't have to be perfect, just relatively smooth because we are going to be adding a ganache glaze on top later. And I have to carefully pick this up. Oh, it's so heavy. And take it to the freezer, which was quite a workout. I got this bougie ass chocolate from London, and it's really one of those if you know, you know type of things. It's one of the best chocolates I've ever tried, and I am a chocolate connoisseur, so I knew I just had to use it for this cake. This is around $100 of chocolate. Yeah, I know. Carefully chopping up around 500 grams. Whew, that was a workout. I don't even have to go to the gym. Give it a little taste, and yep, I dropped it in my boobs. It's not coming back. Oven up, and we gotta move this load. It's approximately 500 grams, give or take. I think it measured in around 497, but whatever. It's close enough. If this chocolate burns or something or some shit, I'm cooked. And then I'm adding in around 500 grams, equal parts of heavy whipping cream. I didn't quite have enough of this. I used it in the icing earlier, so I'm also going to be going in with some regular milk. Milk was a bit too thin, so I went in with some buttermilk to counter that. I want to kind of mimic the consistency of the heavy whipping cream. Mix it all up, and then I'm putting that in the microwave for 30-second increments because I do not want to burn this expensive ass chocolate. There's no way that's happening. Give it a good little check, feel, and see how hot it is, and repeat this process for an ungodly amount of time. So finally, it's done. And I'm going to put a little lid on this and let it sit for a while. After waiting about 10 minutes, I'm going to stick a spatula in and slowly start stirring, trying not to create any air bubbles and incorporating the hot chocolate into the hot milks.
A few moments later.
Until finally we have our finished ganache. And I have to taste it because I just have to. Oh, that's pretty good. I'm gonna slowly pour this ganache all over our cake and try and do this as evenly as possible to avoid any sort of like drips or ripples. It's oddly so satisfying. I wish I could do this every day. I'm a little bit worried I won't have enough to cover the whole cake. Yeah, it's not looking so good, but we're gonna make it work. I didn't do this in the best way possible, so don't be like me and focus it on random areas. And then I'm gonna shake this off and try to get off all the excess chocolate and try and cover up those weird lumps that I made. Fix, please. I definitely wasn't just doing that to get another little taste. Nope, why would I do that? Oh, that's good. Off to the freezer this goes to set in. And it's time to start working on the design, the classic design. I think this whole thing took me around an hour to cut out and do. It was my first time working with fondant, and it was a lot different than I expected. I kind of thought it would be a little bit harder. Cutting out the design was definitely a challenge, but not as hard as using something like chocolate or candy melts. Some people don't like the taste of fondant, and that's okay. You can just peel it off the cake. I personally don't mind it. I don't even notice it, but to each to their own. After finishing the design, the cake should have been in the freezer for an hour, so it should be good and set. And now I just have to transfer the cake carefully onto the cake platter, which I've tried to mimic the one from Kiki's movie. I did crack off part of the glaze, but at least it's on the back. I have to carefully put on the design. It was a little bit nerve-wracking because the design, it was kind of melting. I don't know why. It was my first time working with fondant, and I didn't realize it melted. And then finally, we're done. Oh my god. This took me like 8 hours in total. And I'm just so proud that I actually did it with... Oh, okay. It almost fell off. That was a disaster that was prevented. Okay, let's get some pictures before I drop this thing. Oh my god. And look how cute. Even though I'm kind of a new baker, I think it turned out pretty good. And let's cut into this and try to get a slice. Wow, look at that. It looks delicious. Look at those thick layers of icing. Oh my god. Let's get a bite. I'm so excited.
Oh my god! Wow!
That literally tastes so good. Oh my gosh. I was a little bit proud of myself in this moment for making something so delicious. I had all my family members try it and they all said it was really good. That is a flavor explosion. Holy moly, look at that piece. That's some real good shit. Ooh, I have to get another bite of that. Oh my god, look at that. That's a thick cake. Thick. That gets a thumbs up from me. There's not much else I can say about that. That's a really good cake.